All right, so welcome to the December/January Composer Movie Challenge results. So Andre and I are here to listen to your music, and we
Hello,
promise
everyone.
we're going to do our best to mark it on four categories. As you know, the first is composition, the second is production quality, the third is interest, how interested did it keep us, and the fourth is the character. Can we actually hear the character? Right, so the first person in the list is actually me, Venkaman. So we're going to pause the entry so we don't hear it all to shorten the video. So let's go and we'll pause it now. Right. What do you think, Andre?
Well, I like it. I like it. Actually, composition-wise, it's a very good composition.
Wow.
I'm quite happy with the result of the way it's structured. Uh, I would go with a high score on this one, on the composition.
Oh,
Production quality also could go quite high.
okay.
In the composition, I would say, though, I will take 1 point off
Yeah.
for missing the specific. I mean, it's structured well, but there is not. There is no clear melody that would be catch attention as a composition structure. It's missing it. So everything else,
I agree.
you build up is fantastic. The choice of instrument is great. Very nice. It actually has totally you chose instrument to build up nicely. So and then fading out with it. Composition is perfect. One exception. I take 1 point off. There's I wish you explore some idea of melodic idea to it, but as a composition, it's built perfectly and could be used for a lot of sections in the movies or as audio track for voiceover, whatever. But as the entry for the video, I mean for movie challenge, particularly to show the character, I would add a melody as the idea, what is there.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds more like an introduction. Okay,
But wonderful.
wonderful. What about the marks? So
The composition is 9.
9. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm going to mark myself 100. Not really. No,
Okay.
it doesn't work that way. Because I took part,
I
obviously,
know, I know, I
I'm
know.
not going to mark myself. So, but actually, this is the thing that I fall over on. Number one, it's time, and it's actually I don't know how to develop it. I don't have the musical capacity to get past the tiny idea and develop it. And what I end up doing is getting scared, and I think, oh, I'm running out of time, and just cutting it short. I
Oh,
I think as a challenge, what I should do is repeat that melody using different instruments, making it bigger, more powerful,
right, right.
right? And then maybe doubling it, trying to go for a 2 minute one instead of a 1 minute.
The way for example, what I would suggest that when I talk about the development of the melody, you have a phrase, for example, short phrase which catchy, you like it, and what I suggest is use that phrase, but try to find different landings. In other words, for example, your phrase goes up and then down, then up and then stop. For example, I'm
Yeah,
not talking about your melody right now,
yeah,
but in general. So then you can go up and then down, then actually stop on the phrase and go down again and up and down. So you develop this a little bit, change the direction, landing on different notes. Landing on your phrase started, for
right.
example, on chord of C and ended on chord of F.
Yeah,
Or what you do, you started this on chord of C and land on chord of A minor.
oh,
Make this kind of changes. Or, for example, your chords are the same, but you landing on different note of the chord.
Wow.
So this is the way to search. How can you develop and find the different sound of the same melody?
Sure. Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you for that. It's an honor.
No
Production
problem.
quality.
I give you 10. The quality is great. There is nothing, absolutely nothing to.
That's
not
the work of the samples.
Right. That's well, and library means a lot, and you if you use all the right tools for the library, because some people can screw up even greatest library if you start overthink, and not knowing what you're doing, library no longer matter.
It becomes a mess.
Right.
Interest. Did it keep you interested? I mean,
it did.
Because it's so short, right?
It is short, yes, and that's an advantage actually. Short pieces, you are not losing interest. Period. Therefore, you got 10 here.
Oh wow. It's a 10 on interest. Wow.
Yeah. The character though, right there, I like the instrument you choose. And everything sounding good. The character, though, I will take 1 point off. I didn't get this all the way through the way as it come in the same way, developing. If that in that case, it's just where I'm gonna take 2 points off.
Perfect. Okay.
Everything else, I mean, it's great.
Right, let's do that. Total. Okay. Wow. High score of 38 out of 40. That is amazing. I've never done that. Okay. Let's move on to Florence piece. So we've got. Just make sure this is still recording. Yeah, it is. Florence's piece. So I'll pause this again.
Okay. All right, I'm back.
Okay, so let's get on with it. Florent Ainardi, composition. What do you rate it at?
Okay, it's actually not bad at all. I will grade this. I'll take 2 points off. He has very nice set of instruments he used for that to create the atmosphere and building up. Obviously, you can tell that he was building the development. But while I'm very much for leitmotif, as you know, I always talk about this, that if for the character who have a leitmotif, it's developing a little slower than I would suggest, and at the same time, with not much changes within it. So I actually do I'm gonna take 2 points off in the composition, because I would build the composition development in that manner that you notice the changes in the melodic pattern, in the arrangement patterns. It's developing, but not as noticeable, not as much.
So an 8, right? I actually. Okay, listen. I'm going to give him a 9.
Okay.
I'm going to give him a 9 because I agree with everything that you said, but I think it started so strong.
It did.
I think compositionally, I think he just didn't use enough instruments in the main part. I think it sounded like it was empty. He didn't. He could have filled it up with percussion. I couldn't hear much percussion in there.
No, it was a little bit high and metal probably, but that's what I.
So if he filled it up with some more instruments, because it sounded, I could be wrong, but it sounded like he wasn't using that many instruments.
It could be. It was narrow,
Yes.
but it started really nicely. Everything, the idea is wonderful. Melody is great. It's there. But I would personally, I would get a little bit more excitement into
Yes.
it.
Exactly. Okay, cool. So next one is production quality.
Production quality is quite high. I like it. It's probably library-wise, I could get some of the sound. I cannot really tell, but I still give them high grade. I will go with 10 with no
Oh,
problem for that.
okay.
Yeah.
I went with 9. The reason I went with 9 is because in the middle part it was too loud. And it
Well,
was
okay.
it
My
was
headset was
oh
my headset was softer, therefore I didn't hear that loudness. But
so but I think I mean I had to put the volume down, but it was a good piece. I can only knock you 1 point for that just because of that. Otherwise,
right, I got you.
he's using good samples, and some of the samples were a bit. I don't know if it's a. I hear this a lot, right? So it sounds very what's the word?
Artificial.
Artificial, exactly. Like
Yeah.
a beautiful string instrument will turn into a church organ if you're not
Right,
careful,
right, right, right,
right?
right.
And I think I don't know if that's the sample or if it's a combination of the instruments he's used. So either get rid of some instruments that are similar sounding,
That's the
or
hardest part of production. Make it sound realistic. It's really hard to make it sound realistic because every time you're in the library, you need to switch while you using you play in one melody, but within one melody you need to switch instruments. The
what
same.
what one tool that I would recommend, and I've forgotten the name of it, but you get this. Well, it's a spectrum analyzer, right? So you can get the entire spectrum, and you can see where it's peaking, and if it's peaking in, I suppose you want it roughly broad, right? You want a deep sound or a higher sound and something in the middle. Whereas if it's too high, then those are the instruments that they're maybe the high volume instruments are too high, and then so that's what I used actually in my, to get a good balance with the spectrum analyzer.
I
I think
used
that's
to
what
use it, but not anymore.
not anymore. You don't need to. You developed your ear. But yeah, it's a great tool. All right, interest.
Interesting too. It's actually kept my interest going. The only thing, like I said, it was monotonic after the half. I'll take 1 point off for that monotonic. It's just very beginning, incredible. It started really boom, very the character of basically within the set of characters he used all the instruments, all correct instruments. It's a little bit magical and keep developing this idea, but then it was a little too monotonic, going to the point where closer to the end I lost the interest. So that's 1 point off 9.
I'm very tempted to give him an 8, but I'm going to give him a 9. That was what I wrote down. The interest, same reasons. I think that he could have used different instruments added to it. It's so easy criticizing somebody else's work when we're producing it ourselves.
Right,
We
right,
can't
right.
hear it,
I
right?
know,
And that's the benefit of this. That's the benefit of this. So that's what I would have liked to have heard was a different combination of instruments.
Well, choosing the instruments is always a challenge, and the task that's incredibly needed for every challenge that you make.
So, maybe he could have just varied it up a bit with different instruments and different tones, different keys, like you were saying, because there was repetition there. It was, but great piece otherwise. Character.
Yeah,
Character.
yeah,
How did
yeah.
you? What do you think of the? How would you mark the
Character, I give him 9. Actually, he did good. It was magical. The character was magical. That's I give him 9, and I'm taking the reason why I'm taking off because it was just captivation from half of this and then kind of disappeared. That's if he would develop just a bit, it would be superb.
So the character score is basically. Did you hear Harry Potter?
At the very beginning, yes, of course, that was very magical. I think it's.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
I can be wrong about this because that's what. Remember, I asked you about the character because I need to know character more in order to.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Criticize anybody, but in my opinion, magical part of Harry Potter was there.
So what I definitely heard the character. I'm going to give him a 10 on the character. One piece of advice I wanted to give Florent was change the pace, change the rhythm, the speed of the
tempo.
The tempo. Have a play with that.
Right.
With different instruments, because then you could have kept us going, the listener more engaged, and you'll be telling a story on the different parts of Harry Potter's life when because for me it was perfect. I could hear Harry Potter. But that's what I would have liked to have seen. But I'm still going to give you a 10. Okay.
Okay. So that sounds fair. Sounds fair.
Yeah.
Sounds fair.
Let's see. So that's divided by 2. 36.5. Okay. Right. Next person is Guy Matteo. Right. I'm going to pause it now and we'll listen to it.
Sounds good.
Okay. We're back on.
Yep.
Wow. That's all I can say.
Okay.
I can say more.
Yeah. All right.
Right. Composition.
I give him 10. Very well built composition. Has full development. It has it's structured perfectly.
Where has this guy come from? Is he
I
new?
don't know. Fairly, I think this is his first maybe participation in this. Well, in this challenge for sure. I think he may participate in some other challenges.
I think Paul Cassidy has some competition here now.
Yeah. It's 10.
10. I mean, honestly, I'm tempted to give this guy 11. Honestly, I don't know if we can do that, but. Can we do that?
I don't know.
It's going to go out of hand then, isn't
it? That question was raised when you and Brian the very first video.
Yeah. I want to. My heart says give this guy an 11 because it's fantastic. Compositionally, I'm
give 11.
Just amazed. Yeah.
Give him extra.
Extra, yeah. We'll cap it at 11. So
okay.
There you go, Matt. You're a first. Okay, first time we've ever given 11. I mean, it was okay. Why did you get an 11? Because it oozed in quality. It kept me interested. Compositionally, it wasn't boring. I mean, it just it's fantastic. Oh my gosh, this guy's brilliant. He's
composition 100% perfect. Yeah. It has everything. Started slowly, developed he has melodic pattern, leitmotif that he's going over and over with the development of that. One thing I would say it was the melody was repetitive. Through a little too much, in my opinion. I would make some changes, but we're talking about composition in itself. It's perfect. So he has that loud part and development, and then where he's.
Interestingly, the loud part, I've heard other people do it, and it's very difficult to get right because it can quickly turn into a complete mess. And this guy avoided that. It was like that moment of brilliance where he just wants to, play around with a concoction of different instruments and
exactly. It's totally sound different. I agree.
But he still kept it together. I was worried at that stage. I was thinking, he's going to take it too far, but he didn't. He kept it within the limits, without it being. And we've heard that so often.
Lovely.
Yeah, it was great. Production quality.
10. I give him 10. It's
Yeah, yeah.
just all there,
Same.
very good quality, great libraries, and sounding realistic.
Yeah, exactly. 10 as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Nothing more to add there.
yeah.
Fantastic samples, mastered brilliantly. So nothing was too loud. Um, interest.
Interest. That's why I take 1 point off. Remember, I
Ah,
mentioned in composition, his composition perfect. His melody appearing and going through the entire piece. He changing he goes with the same chord progression at the end, uh, but melody disappeared, but the pattern remains the same.
yeah.
I would probably go also. I would slightly deal with the tempo for that, even though it didn't have to, because the patterns that he used was perfect for that matter. So, but interest wise, at the very because of that repetition of the of melody, I'm gonna take 1 point off because was a little too repetitive.
So, okay, let's. How would you do it? What would you be looking for? How would you
Okay,
change
well,
that?
as I mentioned before, it's melodic pattern. So, in order for you to keep the same melody there, but you develop this, you change a little bit. It's, for example, your pattern
Okay.
goes dum 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 ta dum ta dum dum ta dum ta dum dum ta dum ta dum ta dum dum ta dum ta dum. It keeps going and going and going. But so I say it goes
Right.
pam 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 pa dum pa dum. Ta-da-da-da-dum, ta-da-da-da-dum, ta-da-da-da-dum.
Yeah.
You have something within you go and step away from the melody, but then return to this and
Yes.
make different landing, different ending, change it a bit, but you can always return to it always, and it's same melody, but something different, with something
Right.
different in it. So he didn't do much as far as that. It kept my interest, and as a result, that my 1 point off in the interest area.
Yes. It kept me interested. So
I know, I know, I
I'm
know.
gonna give him. I'm gonna give him a 10. I can't knock him on that. But the thing is, you've heard. You're on a different level to me. So, but on my level, it kept me interested. But yeah, I hear what you're saying, and it would have been. It will be interesting, Matt. That's a challenge for you for the
Oh,
next
it
one.
would be brilliant.
I mean, for a 3-minute piece, oh my gosh, it totally.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
did amazing.
I,
So,
I agree.
character.
Character. Character is perfect. Uh, he showed the character perfectly, so I give him 10.
Yeah. Same. I could hear Harry. Wonderful, wonderful piece. Thank you for sharing that. So you got 40 out of 40. So thank God for the 11. 100%. But take note of the the advice that we gave Matt, because the whole point of doing this stuff isn't to show off your talent. It's actually to improve and learn, and that's why we want to encourage people with our advice, but at the same time we want them to grow, right? So there you go. And I think Andre and I have a good balance, because I listen to a lot of music. I'm not classically trained, or don't know even how to play music. Actually, I do it all through the computer. Whereas Andre, his life is music. So and he teaches us stuff. So if anybody wants to have lessons, I recommend Andre.
Thank you.
Yeah, I get
A little bit
20%
of
commission.
advertising.
Only joking. Okay, next one is
Klaus.
Klaus.
That's his first piece.
Is it?
Yeah, he
Okay.
has 2 pieces.
He's actually written something. He's written, "Hello everyone. It means that through the eyes of a person you can look inside. Let's look into the room of Harry Potter's soul together." Nice. "I open the windows and doors to a secret that everyone knows, only Harry doesn't know yet. Undiscovered." Okay, right. We'll pause this and we will listen to the.
All right, I'm back.
Okay then. We've heard that now.
Yes.
Right. Let's just get into it. Composition.
Hold on a second. I need to quickly. All right, composition. Give Klaus 9. Klaus is very interesting composer. He is a modern composer. He's trying to find a lot of, he is trying to get both worlds of atonal music, tonal music, polyrhythmic music. He's searching. He always therefore, it's hard for me to be judgmental without making wrong, basically judging wrongly. As far as composition, in my opinion, it's too clustery. It has clusters of everything, and therefore I'm gonna take one point off because the way I learn, the way I deal with composition, have structure in which you will see very clear beginning, development, ending. So you go through every single composition of mine. You maybe with exception of couple, because where I try to do something not usual me. But I have structure, and that structure I learned from the best, from the classical music, from the modern composers who write music for movies and just music. In Klaus's music, the development is not clear because I cannot hear the part that I will make the composition out of: beginning, development, cadenza, coda, ending. So I take 1 point off because in my opinion, that it's not clear composition.
Okay, so
I could actually,
yeah,
I could actually take 2 points off because
Yeah.
it's really important part of composition. Because, as a matter of fact, I'll do it. The composition is a structure, and when we judge composition, we're not talking about libraries, we're not talking about character, we're not talking about how, but composition itself. You need to hear what is it, how is it developed. So, and you can switch places in this composition, and I wouldn't notice where the beginning or the end or the development.
Yeah. I actually marked it an 8, and that was actually being generous. Klaus, your composition is right. The reason I'm being generous giving you an 8 for this piece isn't because it's not because you're not creative, because you're clearly very creative.
Absolutely.
I think the issue is you're too creative. And I think that the problem is there's no repetition. It's like you've done the opposite of what other people do, which is repetition. You've got these brilliant ideas. You're a genius, but I couldn't hear a melody there. It's like you've put so much work. It's in a beautiful piece, but if you just simplified it and just said, you know what, I'm going to focus on this melody, and then I'm going to add all this magical stuff around it. This to me did not sound like a piece for a character, for a person. What you've done is you've gone in with the wrong moment. We're not going into Harry Potter's, life in terms of the piece isn't a day in the life of Harry Potter where things are going on around him. This piece is what's inside of him. Which melody represents him? I couldn't hear it. Sounds brilliant. Production quality is brilliant. It's like interesting, yes, but it's not answered the question, which is, is this a piece that you've composed for Harry Potter or Harry Potter's life? The two different things, It's one is he's experiencing going to this magical room, maybe one of those shops where he buys the wands or something that happens. But you've missed the question. You haven't answered the question. And the reason I'm giving you an 8 is because you put so much effort into this. I feel bad giving you an 8, but you haven't answered the question. If it was, I could have given you a lower score than this. So answer the question. Look at the character. It's the person that What part of that melody? What part of that can you hear?
One thing I kind of disagree with you, because character in this subject, composition, doesn't matter. Composition itself.
Yes, and this is a good point, because the reason I'm saying that, and we're developing as judges and our scoring methods. Compositionally, yes, but the whole point is Harry Potter, as in the character Harry Potter.
Build composition around it. But the structure of composition is not is not there. It's scattered. It's not clear. The representation, the composition you build structurally, and the structure is so scattered, it's just, you're not sure what you're listening at the moment. Is it the introduction? Is it the development? Is it, what is it? What section is it?
Exactly. And I've been listening to courses from Mike Verter recently, and he's had loads of students. I mean, he does courses online. I recommend him as well. He basically says, look, forget trying to be over creative. If you want to make music that people listen to and enjoy, you've got to you've got to work with what they're used to hearing. It's going to be boring for you, Klaus, making that kind of music, but it's gonna sell. It's what people like to hear, what they're used to hearing. So in fact, I definitely recommend doing one of the courses from Mike Verter. I think he's got a composition one, and I definitely recommend Klaus, you do that, because then hopefully you'll get it. It will explain things, in a lot more detail. But yeah, great piece, right? Can't knock it there. It would have been more a composition for a scene, not for the character. And that's the thing. And we've seen this a lot, right? We've been trying to educate people. It's about the person, not not what they're seeing, not what they're, what the scene is. Okay, next one, production quality.
Production quality, I give him 8. I struggle with the listening Klaus's music in general, because he is not he as a sound engineer, he's not he doesn't understand that he's overcompressing everything time after time after time after time. It's overcompressed. I will always address this until he learn to make this sound. He stop, listen to professionals. He doesn't have to listen to me, but I will judge it as professional, because I'm professional sound engineer. I've been working in sound engineer in the 2 recording studios back in Soviet Union and here in the United States. So he's overcompressing and not listening to me. It's 2 points off. The same problem, same mistake.
So, Klaus, why don't you do this? It's up to you, but why don't you book a lesson with Andre?
No, it doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be me.
I mean, who else? We don't know anyone else we can recommend.
Well,
right?
he can find. YouTube has tons of videos on how.
But what I'm saying is, watching a video is one thing, but actually having, because I have a coach and I do voiceover stuff, so I've invested in a coach. And honestly, a person who's been doing the music and sound engineering, 1 hour of their time, they can teach you what it would take you 100 YouTube videos to figure out. And even then you won't know, because you'll know exactly what the problem is, right? And honestly, I didn't know you were a sound engineer for so long. So it's speaking to an expert, they'll know straight away. You'll save yourself a lot of time and heartache. Whether it's Andre or whether it's somebody else, the only person I know who teaches this stuff is Andre. So I'm going to recommend Andre, right?
Well, I do not teach sound engineering. I worked as sound engineer in 2 recording studios. But
I'm talking about more of the way his process is, because he's doing something to compress it. So maybe at the end he's just running some compression.
Yeah, he's probably he does that most likely on the mastering stage. When he's mastering this, he compresses it, and my assumption that he loves it. I'm not saying that it's the compression is not fun. I actually, at the time that I learned about compression, I loved it so much. I used it myself at the time, but it was a long time ago. But then you realize that compression has very unique, specific purpose. If you need to make sure that you bring the level of sound that it's missing using compression.
Yeah.
But you have to be very careful, particularly at the mastering stage.
Yeah. Okay, so a 9. I'm going to give him a 9 on that.
Okay.
Interest.
Interest, I give him 9. Actually, yes, interest, I give him 9. It kept me interested in the only thing, like I said, what bugged me, and I kept like, okay, when I will hear how is it going to be working? And I realized that it's not going to change the clusters of ideas, and I was like, well, I guess that's it.
My score is an 8. It's because I was like, you hit it when you said he could have put any position, he could have moved any part anywhere. We're just not used to that kind of music. Character.
Character, I give him 9, and it actually started really nicely because he had the magical beginning. He has those bells and all the instruments that he used for that, and that was like, okay, good start. And then with going further and further, I would say, well, actually, say if we talk about character without judging anything else, he probably would. I actually will change my mind. I give him 10, because whatever I'm trying to tell is not related to the character. Character was there, in my opinion.
For me, it wasn't. I'm going to give it an 8. The reason I have scored you 2 marks less is because I couldn't. There's not a melody in there that I can grasp and say, okay, there's Harry Potter. Did you create a Harry Potter scene? Yes. With all the magic and the wonderful instruments, and you've done a marvelous job. 10 out of 10 for that. But the problem is you haven't answered the question, which is this a melody that represents, is this a leitmotif for Harry Potter?
Oh, that's true. Yes, again, yeah, that's true. I agree with you. So but I will still
you still give 10.
No, I will still go with 10.
Okay.
Go with 10.
Very generous. Okay. Listen, Klaus, we're not trying to have a dig at you. We just want you to. We want to hear really good music. I mean, we want to hear great music that is answering the question. Okay, because that's all it is. Have you answered the question? And that's where you fell over. So.
Well, but he has second piece. We're going to listen to the second piece.
I'm looking forward to that. He's going to revive him. Right. Hopefully, let's say. Julia's the next one, so let's pause this.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, then. That was Julia's piece. How would you rate the composition?
Composition, I give her 9. And the only one, the reason why I take 1 point off is that middle section. The composition, how the way I see would be awesome if you have introduction, then you develop this, and you need to choose where the development leading to. Is it culmination, or is it something subtle more, and then the ending. The way she structured composition didn't really take my heart. She has that very beautiful melody at the very beginning and started building that melody nicely, actually nicely. But then suddenly she got soft in that middle section, and it's been like 1/4 of the pieces, that soft part, and then return to the main melody with more development and building up. I actually, the way I would say, this is slow piece. The way I would develop slow piece, I would start this soft section, building up to the very strong culmination part, and then end fading out again, basically getting softer. That would be my structure for this type of musical piece. But it's again, it's only in my opinion. She may think, well, I wanted to have that center part being soft and then end up on the loud, I mean, on the high volume, which is okay, but it didn't ring the bell the way I portray the composition. The composition as itself, though the great idea, the way she started, the very 1/3 of the piece is fantastic, and then the ending is great. Again, I actually would, in my opinion, the ending part cut out that soft section and have that ending, and that would be two and something minutes, and she would get my highest score, right?
Okay. There you go, Julia. Maybe you can actually do that, and it would be interesting to hear that if you want to share that with us. Okay, so I mean, I'll be honest, right?
Of course.
I mean, I was going to give her a 10, but compositionally, there was something that just kept bugging me. It was the production quality, something in the production quality.
Well, production quality is different.
Yeah, I know, but what the problem is that because that was bugging me so much, I couldn't focus on the composition when I was listening to it. So I'll stick to the 10, okay? Because I want to encourage you, Julia.
Okay.
And I know that it's I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt there, okay? Because I took my ear off the composition because I was focusing on the production quality. But all right, let's go on. We're pushed for time. So
okay, good.
You got 10, brilliant. Production quality.
Production quality is 9. I gave her 9, and it's actually not bad at all. Hold on a second. No, I'm looking. The production quality is 10. Never mind. Production quality is 10, in my opinion. It's interest 9. That's why I look at the wrong number.
Oh, okay. So for me, I mean, you'll know more than this, me, because you're a sound engineer, but it just sounded like it didn't, I wrote down 3 minutes, 8 seconds, because it sounded very quickly. Like it was off in the distance, like the instruments were. The instruments sounded very far away, some of them. And it just it confused me. And I was thinking, is there something that she hasn't mastered? But then I heard the other section just before the 3 minutes 8, and that sounded fine. So it was a particular set of instruments that she was using, which were probably, positioned further away, which took me off guard actually. So I couldn't, or rather, put me on guard. It was, I don't know, Julia. Was that, I mean, intentional, or was there something happening that wasn't mastered? I can't tell. Either way, it didn't sound right to me. It didn't sound crisp and clear and close.
Okay.
And for that reason,
it's fair.
I'm going to give you an 8 on the production quality. I know something's happening, and I'd really be interested to know what it is, because it wasn't consistent, the production quality through it.
Got it.
So, all right. Interest.
9. That middle section again. Return 9. To this. It's just taking point off from that. If she would just slice it, move it out, and get this two parts together, ending and beginning. It's just slightly. What is it? Like 1/4 of the piece. That's middle section.
Okay. I think I can hear a slight rattle from your microphone or something. Is it moving or something? I don't know.
It could.
Is it plugged in properly? It's plugged in, okay.
It's probably because I'm touching the wire. Because.
Oh, you're touching them. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right, that's fine. I also gave it a 9. the interest. Right. It was there. It was there. So, character-wise,
I gave her 10.
yeah, it's crackling a lot now for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, try and pull the microphone out and put it back in again.
Okay. Is it better?
It's still crackly. I don't know if that's my side or. Anyway, we'll go with it. Yeah, it's crackling every time you talk. Otherwise, you can pull it out and do it on the iPad.
Is
So
it
let's
better
hear
this
that.
way?
Oh, it must be something. It's very odd. Still getting it.
Huh. I'm not sure why. Because it's different microphone now. It's microphone
It's
from
a different
the,
microphone. So there's something in the signal. Okay, we're going to go with it. So actually, keep the other set on because it's louder if it's possible. Sorry, guys, technical issue. What will so character? You gave it a 9. I gave it a 10. Actually, you haven't said your score.
No. The
What did you
character
score
is
in the
10.
character?
10.
10.
10.
Okay,
I gave
yes,
her
I
10.
gave it 10
Yeah.
as well. Okay, brilliant. So the total score there is 37.5. Brilliant. Wait a minute. Yeah. So, Andre, you're next.
Yeah, I'm not judging myself.
Right. So, oh wow. So it's just me who gets this honor.
Yeah, it's just you.
Okay, I'm going to pause this. Wow. Okay, so I've heard Andre's piece. There was a technical issue on my side, so I may need to rescore Julia's because I think that was probably affecting the production quality. It wasn't probably her piece. I don't know if it was probably something on my side. So very quickly, I'll go back to Julia's. But Andre, I mean, the question is, how do I mark you down? That's really challenging. So compositioning. Fantastic. I don't know how to mark it down. 10. The production quality was fantastic. 10. And then interest, it kept me completely interested. Character, yeah, well, again, it's difficult to add anything there.
Well, the character probably the one that you can downgrade.
That was the only thing I was thinking. But no, I could hear Harry there. I could hear, you hit the character. So nothing else to add. Sorry. I don't even know how to. What advice do I give you? Right. So next one is Klaus because we are pushed for time.
Sure, absolutely.
But before I do that, I'm just going to hear Julia's. Pause this.
Okay.
Okay, so just before I continue to Klaus's second submission, Julia, I listened to it again and I'm still getting it. So it wasn't a technical thing on my side. So I'll stick to the scores. There's something there, and it's like the 3-minute 8 onwards mark when you've got a few instruments. Right. So let's move on to Klaus. So composition.
All right. This seems to be, it's actually, there is a reason why he said this is my submission. I prefer this one to the challenge because he has some similarities in the piece. It seems to be like developed. As a matter of fact, this composition is better, so I agree with him to choosing this one. It definitely get my higher score than in the previous one. He had this structure in the composition. I'm not talking about anything else, but composition itself, I give him 10.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
It's just the composition. I'm sorry, just to clarify, it's composition. I'm not talking about ideas and everything. Composition-wise, he built it well.
But do we need to keep the composition related to the fact that the main task is? You see what I mean?
Not for the character. Not really. Composition is meaning that how musically you structure the piece.
Okay.
So you want it to be very specific. That's we need to be very specific. Did you build composition musically well? or not?
Okay.
Was it? Did you have the beginning, development, ending, and everything in between? For example, if you went to more challenging structure, uh, that's my opinion.
Okay.
Then production it has to be clearly only about quality. How did you work in production? Did you make it sound professional so it would be played on the radio? Not because of the missing melodies or your composition was structured poorly or great. It's just the production quality. And so an interest, what do you interest in? Basically, actually, it's with also, at some point we can think about adding orchestration as another subject because if it's qualified for idea, because orchestration is different animal too.
To composition. Okay.
Yeah.
I still think that I mean compositionally he was there, right? But I'm going to give you a 9 because it ultimately this is I'm going to stick to
Well,
my interpretation of
I hear
the
you. I hear you.
composition within the overall topic, which is Harry Potter. And
Okay.
although there was more of a melody there, which I could hear, it wasn't it wasn't as strong as other pieces. That's you couldn't hear it as but the but you've
Right.
added a lot more
You
repetition.
comparing to other
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. So production quality.
Well, I'm. It's the same. It's 8 points for me. I'm not. I'm over compression remains.
Oh wow, okay. See, interesting because you can hear something that I can't, and I'm going to give him a 10. On these speakers, it sounded great. And these are monitor Rocket 5s,
Well, here's
studio
what you.
monitors.
I will tell you. Just every when you listen to the radio, do you like the sound music on the radio?
Yeah, in
Yeah, yeah.
DAB, yeah.
Well, there is over compression on the radio to make sure nothing lost. So when you talk about the production from the recording, if you what you hear on the radio and on CD are two different sound. Radio always compressed sound. And that's
Right,
what I hear in Klaus's music. He compresses as if it's radio right now. But
right.
I'm not interested in the radio. I need to listen to orchestra. And the orchestra is playing. When you listen to symphony orchestra with not on the radio too, there is no compression there because they cannot compress symphony music. And the symphony music you listen, you hear the pianissimo, it will be so soft you need to bring the volume up. And when in soundly fortissimo, I need to turn the volume down because it's going to blow my speakers. So on the radio with pop and rock music, compression is always there because they
Yeah.
wanted to make sure everything goes along with the volume of their radio voice and the music. It's all compressed to the point that makes sure everything lows.
Yeah.
High volume, everything high is limited.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I'm not interested in radio music. I'm interested to hear the full production that's ready to be out there on CD, in the movie, and
Right.
movie is not compressed.
I must admit, a lot of the music I listen to is on radio, so I haven't developed that ear. Maybe I should listen to more YouTube stuff. It won't be as compressed. You never know.
It depends YouTube is broad
Compressed.
spectrum of whatever is
Right.
there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So interest.
Interest, I give him actually high score here. I will go with 9. It's
I went for
take
a
1 point again only because it's still clustered, but it's better this time.
Yeah, much better.
In this, much better. He has melody and he stick to it. As a matter of fact, he made changes within this, and it kept me going. But I still think it's a little too clustered, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to agree. Character.
10. I have
10?
no problem with. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I gave him an 8.
Okay.
Because for me, I mean, I'm comparing it to leitmotifs for different characters that you hear, and it was difficult for me to. I had to work hard to hear it. Was it memorable? No.
Oh no, that's not.
That's a
Well,
different thing.
I agree with that. It's not memorable at all
Yeah.
because his music is different to difficult to memorize.
Yes.
He's not. He doesn't like idea of leitmotif in general. It's clearly coming from his comments. Oh, leitmotif again. Oh, we're talking about this again. But he's not a melodic composer. He's more modern, which kind of exclude melody out of the.
He'd be good at Mike Kinfield's challenges, which are, score this scene. He'd be good at that.
Absolutely.
Right, Mike's been doing some of those, but here I think this is a different kind of requirement. It is a leitmotif for a character.
Right.
So that's why I marked you down on that. Okay, so hang on, this one. Final results we have. Let's expand this. We have me very generously. You gave 38. I still got a lot of work to do. I know. I have to make it longer. I'm cheating. Okay, I'm making it short.
But it's within the
it's within the rules.
the rule.
Yeah. I'm gonna set a challenge to myself and try and hit the 1.5 minutes mark, or 1 minute 46. But we've got 2 winners, 2 joint first places. Well, Andre and Guy Matteo. So well done, guys. Pat yourselves on the back. And Andre, you get a free lesson with Andre. And Guy, you get a free lesson with Guy.
That's it.
So, okay, all right. So that's it. Thanks, guys, for listening. I will put everything together and
thank you, guys.
release this. Thanks a lot. Have a good one. Cheers. Bye.